Hi friends, welcome to Inked Occasions, April 2025 Paper Pumpkin Alternatives. I have 13. Yep, 13 today. And the first three start with looking at these three cards and kind of doing a riff on them. But the first thing I did is I realized that this would make 9 cards, but they had beautiful backs. So I immediately cut all 9 cards in half. So then I had 18 to start with. So that's what we're starting with. And you'll also notice this thinking of you and congratulations, you are amazing. And there were only 3 of each of those, or 4 maybe of each of those. And so I want to show you what you can do to make a whole lot more. So I kept this and I used a piece of basic white, and I just simply traced around them with a pencil and cut them out. And then I had a whole lot more of these little guys to be able to stamp on if I needed them. So a really good way to extend your kit. I'm going to show you how to extend that hugs a little bit later as well. So let's first look at this first card, Thinking of You. And remember I told you that I cut my card bases all in half. So I made this card. And I'm also using, I used a lot of my own white envelopes. And so I don't know if you remember this old beautiful blizzard, but it had this blizzard and this piece. They make perfect inky spots. So I used those for my envelopes, and you'll see them look a little bit different on each one. So anyway, for this card, I cut my envelope in half and glued it onto a regular white card base. And I simply stamped the inside with the butterflies. Nothing unusual there. So that's how you do card number 1. And for card number 2, oh, sorry, I don't like these to get out of order. Okay, I'm going to try to be much better. Okay, for card number 2, I used a Flirty Flamingo card base, and I cut down my half card to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And that went right on top. And then I also used a 3 3/4 by 5 inches piece of white cardstock on the inside, stamped the butterflies again, and then basically followed the directions to make card number 2. And that is what I did for card number 2. So far, so good, right? Not too hard. Oh, grief. What did I do with that second envelope? Honestly. And then I did the envelope again for that one. Maybe I didn't make a second envelope on that one. Bad on me. Okay, and then for the third card, I used a gorgeous grape card base and scored it 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then what I did is I just left my inside blank, and that is that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, just like the outside is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then you need the I'm Here For You that I stamped, and you need the hugs, but I had already used the hugs on a couple of different things. So what I did here is I took the outline of the hugs and I used my, what is this called? Help me, where are you? Sorry for all the noise. Okay, I used my Versamark and I daubed it on. So I just put this down on a piece of white cardstock and I used my dauber and daubed it. And then I put my gold embossing powder on it, and I then heat embossed it. And then instead of trying to cut out these crazy spots, I used my Jelly Roll pen. And so with my Jelly Roll pen, I colored in where the G would have an opening at the top and at the bottom, and where the S would have an opening. And so now I can use my hugs and I can make as many of them as I need. And I've got 2 more here that I haven't colored yet, but I'll show you real quickly. All I did was take an outline with my white Jelly Roll pen, and then I didn't press hard, and I just filled in the spot. And once you get that filled in, you need to let it dry for about 10 minutes. But as you can see, it works out great. So that is how I did card number 3, and how I extended the hugs in the kit. So I hope you liked that idea. And then for total alternatives, let's take a look at what I did for those. So I don't want this to dry. Okay. All right. So for the next 4 cards, I envisioned making a card set that I could give away, because I'm thinking, oh, it's getting to be Mother's Day. So it would be nice to have a few little Mother's Day gifts. So this is the first card I did, and I'm using one of the envelopes from the kit. And I cut this piece down to 2.5 by 3 3/4, so you get 2 of them. And so what I will do, I guess it went like this, and then I did it here. So I glued it on here, and I also used that punch called the Heartfelt Hexagon punch. And all I did was come down as far as I could from the top and then punched it. So using Gorgeous Grape, I just went in all the way to, and then just punched it like that. And so that's the way I did the next 4 cards, actually, all of them the same. So I did that. Then I glued this piece on right here. And then I ran it through my embossing machine with this new damask design. But you could use any embossing folder. And let me just real quickly show you how I set it up. So what I did was I set it up just like this and ran it through my machine like this. So I started it with the fold at the top and just ran it through my machine like that. And so then I got that nice little damask kind of pattern on my cardstock, which makes it look fancier than just a plain piece of paper. So then I also had a little piece that is a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4 inch for the inside. I stamped one of the hugs from the stamp set, and then I just made my own bubble letters around it by just going around real quickly and not getting too close to any of the letters. You can see how I did that. Okay, and then I also used a I'm Here For You, and I used a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of white paper for the inside of the card. So after I stamped it, I bumped this up on dimensionals. I'm Here For You. I did the hugs, and then when you open it up, I glued that strip on the inside. So that's the first card of actually 4 cards that are going to be a set. So, and I will give them away to someone for Mother's Day. So the next cards then, again, I'm using the envelopes from the kit, and I did exactly the same thing, except I'm using, what color is this? This is Fresh Freesia. So I'm using Fresh Freesia, and I am again using a piece of cardstock that is 2.5 by 3 3/4. This time my Thinking of You is bumped up on dimensionals, and I'm using a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4 inch piece of cardstock for the inside of the card. I glued this on, ran it through my embossing machine after I cut out my heartfelt hexagon piece. And then I put Sending My Love here and put Thinking of You here. And then my strip goes right there. So again, these 4 cards are very, very similar because I want them to be a set that I give away. So here is the second card. And then the third card, I am using Peach Pie, which is the color here. So using that envelope again. And this time I stamped it, or I punched it, and then I glued this piece on. I put my put it through the embossing machine. Then I'm Here For You, and bumped up hugs on dimensionals and my little strip of paper here. So I don't think I need to go through all of these because you get it now that you've seen it a couple times. And then the fourth one is, it looks like this. So I am using the Pool Party, and which is here in the envelope, and on the envelope, and I'm using that same size piece of paper, gluing it onto the front, and then running it through my embossing machine. You Are Amazing, and bumped up Congratulations on dimensionals, and then put my strip of paper here. So there I have all 4 cards that can now be put in a little acetate box, or I can make my own box and give those as a gift for Mother's Day. And then I created a card using those punched out pieces. So those 4 hexagons that I punched out, heartfelt hexagons, I had those. And then I also used some Designer Series paper for a 5th one. And the card looks like this. It says hugs. And then I took the two pieces that overlapped, and I cut them off and glued them on here. I put some butterflies in there and some on here. I ran a piece of ribbon all the way around and tied a knot. I matched the envelope to the card with the matching designer series paper and added several butterflies here. So for this card, you need, like I said, you need the hexagons from the cards that I made before, and I stamped hugs on the pool party and put the gorgeous grape in the middle here, and then I had the fresh freesia over here and the peach pie over there. I glued them on, and then I cut those pieces off, and those are the two pieces I used for the inside. So easy card, but that makes a really pretty card then for a presentation card that goes with the set that you could give someone. So that is my fifth card of originals. And now I'm going to be using a few new products. And I know if you've got, if you don't have them yet, you'll be able to order them next week or the week after, I think a couple weeks. But I really love them. I'm using these gems called the 2025-27 flat in color flat pearls on several of these cards now. And on this card, I used the Simple Happy Birthday stamp set that I just think looks awesome for this card. And all I did was take a white 8.5 by 5.5, scored it at 4 1/4, and then I used one of my half sheets of card bases. I stamped Happy Birthday, and I stamped the Happy Birthday in pumpkin pie. And then I used one of these little punches that I think it's with Tags to Go that it comes in. There's 3 of them. So I just opened it up and pushed it in as far as it would go and punched it there. And then on the other side, pushed it in as far as it would go and punched it there. So that is how I got the holes to then string the ribbon in. So I just did, I went from the outside in and from the inside out. Come on. There you go. And then just tied my ribbon. So that's how you do that card. Really easy. And if you don't have the ribbon, you don't need to add it. I just thought it was a way to use ribbon that looked nice. And it was kind of fun. I glued that flat onto the front. I added those beautiful gems, and these gems are the strawberry slush. And then I added an extra piece of the designer or the card base that I had left over from a previous card. So that is how you do this card, this birthday card. And for the envelope, I just took another blotchy piece and individually colored, stamped the colors that are on the front of the card. So that made a nice envelope for that card. And the next card, I made actually 2 cards out of 1 piece. So I had this piece, this piece that went all the way across, and I just cut it right up the middle. And so I made the 2 cards, and I used the 2 bases that are 3 3/4 by 5. And I stamped the thinking of you, and this time I used the these are the timid tiger ones, and these are the strawberry slush, so you can see the difference. But aren't those cute cards, thinking of you? And then for the inside, I added a butterfly, and I stamped some of that peach pie on the inside, added the butterflies. So that is how I did this card. And again, I picked up on the colors from the card bases and made my own envelopes using an old stamp. So those are already done. I have nothing to add to those. And now I have a couple of Mother's Day cards that I'd like to show you. And because Mother's Day is next month, and gosh, Easter just ended, but now it feels like it's a whirlwind to Mother's Day. It's already here. So I am using the March 2023 paper pumpkin called 10 Years of Growth to get this sentiment to a wonderful woman. And again, I stamped kind of random colors from the card kit. And what I did is I had a card base that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and so I cut it at 2 1/8 by 5 1/2, and I'll put 1/2 here. And then I also had some leftovers from when I cut down those other card fronts, and so it's 1/2 inch by 5 1/2, and that is going to be glued right at the top here, just like this one. And then this one says to a wonderful mother, and I added some of the butterflies. I did a piece of the card base there and added some butterflies over here. And these are the Darling Duckling color. I believe that's the color, the yellow ones. And I'm going to use the same over here when I put this one together. And then I have a few of the butterflies. But I think that's a really pretty Mother's Day card for a good friend. So I will be sharing that with her. And now I have another card that could absolutely be a Mother's Day card, or a thinking of you, or a get well card, depending on how you write the inside. And so for this card, I am featuring the Gallery Blooms, which is a new photopolymer stamp set with matching dies. The dies look like that. And so I have, and also I'm using the You Are Loved from the Grateful Blessing, which was in last year's annual catalog, and it's in this year's annual catalog as well. So it says You Are Loved, and I stamped some of the Queen's Anne lace here and added some of the butterflies for the envelope. So for this card, I took a card base that was 8.5 by 5.5, scored it 4.25, and I stamped one of the Gallery Blooms images in Fresh Freesia. Then I took a card base that had the gold all the way around it, and I trimmed it at 2 1/8 by 5.5, put dimensionals on it, and I bumped that up on dimensionals, butted right up to the bottom, and then I had this little space in here where I created the Queen's Anne lace and the, I don't know what this is, this pretty cute flower. And I put them on dimensionals, and what I'm gonna do is just stick them in here once I have this in and I have it the way I want, and then I will stamp the You Are Loved right here and add the butterflies here, add the butterflies here, and then I added the gems from the new in color, which is Cloud, something Cloud. I don't remember, but it's Cloud something, and we can't get the ink yet. But anyway, I thought it went really well with the cloudy kind of color here. So, and because there wasn't any of the pink on this piece, I stamped the berry burst, and then I stamped off and stamped off. So I got some of that berry burst in there like this side. So that's how I did that card. So all you need is a white card base for that card. And then I have one more, which is, I guess you could call it a fun fold. It's kind of a faux fun fold, but it looks like this. And I used a piece of white cardstock that is just 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then also scored at 1 3/4. Then I put dimensionals on it, and then that'll be glued back on itself so it doesn't open. And this is the way I made this card. So I used one of the card bases here, and I cut it at 1/2 inch, and then made a 1.5 inch strip, a 1.5 inch strip, and a 3/4 inch strip. So I have a 1.5 here, a 1.5 here, a 1/2 inch here, and a 3/4 inch here. So glued them all onto the card base, and then I used some of the new textured notes dies that I really love because they have the coolest little borders on them. And I used Pool Party for this one, and the Thinking of You for this one. Bumped Thinking of You up on dimensionals. And this, these are the, I think they're the Timid Tiger ones that I used again on this one. And so that's the way I added some butterflies here. I added a butterfly up here, and I meant to have my butterflies like over here so they would be right on the edge, but I got a little too crazy and put them too far in. But on my next card I won't do that, but I think that card looks really nice. And then this time I used 3 images to use: the Fresh Freesia, the Pool Party, and the Peach Pie. So hope you like your cards. 13, that's pretty awesome. See you soon.